Good afternoon YouTube, and you join me on part 2 of the E92 M3. Now in the first video on the tuning we went to AReeve performance, we had the pre-cats and the map done, and we had a little bit of an issue there and we had a little bit of an issue when I got back home, but we'll discuss that in today's video. So for those of you that watched the video, we left AReeve with 420 odd horsepower, which for Aaron's rollers, they're meant to be quite strict. He said it was good. I was happy with the car. The problem we had is it wasn't delivering the numbers consistently, and on a few runs it was dropping down to 380 and then it was going back up and it would do it again, and he said, look, it's pulling ignition timing out. And essentially when it pulls timing out, it's a sign of detonation or that something's not right. So I couldn't leave the car with him. I had to bring it back home, which meant driving it back, investigating it further, and then getting it back on the rolling road at Surrey. And obviously with everything that's been going on at the moment, Surrey Rolling Road have just been closed and they've been booked up. So it's been a bit of a nightmare, but I'm finally confirming that we have a final output of power. Not what I hoped or expected, but I will discuss that in this video. So we had two issues with the car. Shortly after getting back from AReeve, alternator packed up. So I don't know whether that was a contributing factor. Not long after at all, lost all power, car shut out literally 5 minutes from home, had to lift all the gear stick, put it in neutral, had only a battery low warning, didn't get the alternator field warning light. But thankfully got that resolved after a couple of issues, getting the wrong one sent out from wrong parts. And then after that, had an issue with the thermostat. Now, this was, like I say, spotted by a member on the Owners Club on Facebook, and he said, your car doesn't look like it's holding steady oil temperature. And I said, yeah, I've been driving for 20 minutes, get on a motorway and it would start coming back down again. Not to the point where it was too cold to use, but back down nearer to the first dot. So he said, look, because you haven't got a water temperature gauge, there's a good chance the thermostat's failed. And I discussed that in the other video. It's not a big job to do, so we changed the thermostat over. Car's getting up to temperature perfectly, so with everything working, car felt really good to drive. It was back to Surrey Rolling Road on a very hot 25-degree day to see what the E92 would put out. 419 horsepower. Well, for those watching the first video, you think, well, you've paid all that money and you've lost 5 horsepower. So I'll sort of give a background into it. Did it read high on the first run at Surrey Rolling Road? Potentially, I don't know. I mean, everyone who I spoke to said that was a solid figure for just a K&N air filter on there and not obviously having a map or the pre-cats out. So it was certainly not something I expected or hoped. I wanted to see 440 plus really, but I've played the NA tuning game before. I'm happy to report everything is healthy. It pulls that run consistently. It started at 412, 414, then it went up to 419 because it had been sat on the rolling roads, obviously a little bit of heat soak before it got everything cold air running through it. And is it worth doing the pre-cat delete and remap? Yes, I would still say it is, and I'd say I would take those figures very loosely because the 425 brake one was done a year ago in the winter. It was like January, it was like -2 at Surrey Rolling Road, and then this one obviously being done in June, so it was a hotter day. I have got an open filter on there, so how much power I lost even with the heat shield for heat soak. Charlie said the dyno will make adaptations for that, but once you start getting heat soak, it really saps the power, and you can feel it on a really hot day in this. So I'm not disappointed with it. Yes, I would have liked the big power figure that I went there to get. The drivability is massively improved. Having that cold start deleted, oh man, the cold start used to absolutely destroy me with my neighbours. So that in itself was worth getting done. And I'm a big believer in the cold start is a lot of the reason behind the excess shell warning on these, because you're spinning the engine up to 1200 RPM, 60 weight oil in the winter. It can't be doing any good for the block. So for me, I would do it again. Would I drive all the way to Norfolk and have a live remap done? I don't think I would. If I was to do it again, I'd probably go somewhere more local. I don't think you can get a lot of power out of these with a map personally, especially a live map. It's a well-tuned engine out of the factory, especially for the setup I'm running at the moment. Obviously, if you went cams, if you went serious aftermarket intake, completely different kettle of fish. But for very light breathing mods, is a custom calibration worth the cost? No, I don't think it is. Not on an NA car. I mean, it's good that it's dialed in, it's all tailored to it. The AFR is beautiful. So I'm happy that everything is working correctly. But like I say, I would have liked a little bit more power from the car. Something I would like to discuss in this video, which quite a few of you picked up in the first tuning video, was gutting the pre-cats. There seemed to be a whole myth that I also got sucked into, that if you gut the catless pipes, then you're going to end up with this flat spot or this horrible torque curve. Now, Chris from Modstock was talking to me, and it wasn't actually about this. I sold him some bump stops, and he said, you know what, we've gutted so many of these and we've had no issues. So I had a look on his Facebook page, and he's gutted a lot. He's had them down at Surrey Rolling Road, making very similar power to what this put out. So it is an option. I think now, looking back on it, it probably makes more sense to go that route, because if it isn't going to lose the power, you're not going to have an issue come MOT time, because underneath it all looks completely standard. So if you want that modification done, or you want your back box chopped like I discussed in the first video, I'll put a link down for Modstock exhaust here in the UK. So what's next for the E92 M3? Well, as I said at the beginning, a year ago, this is the daily. I wasn't supposed to modify this car, and I just seem to, everything I own, I just have to seem to play with. So obviously we started off with minor modifications, and then we went for the seats, and then we did Alcantara wheel, which is probably not the best thing for a daily car, because you've got to keep your hands super clean all the time. But I'm really happy with how it's come out. It's not gone crazy. I've had a few people message me saying, you got to charge it, it's the next thing. And I have been out and charged one of these, and they are crazy, but it's not what I need for a daily car. 420 horsepower for the roads in today's times is more than enough. And I love the fact that I can just get in it, it starts, it works, nothing overheats. Whereas when you start running another 200 horsepower in an engine bay, you're going to get issues. You're not going to be able to drive it flat out everywhere without heat soak or potential overheating of the gearbox. And for me, if I did anything tuning wise, and I say a big if because it is huge outlay, is Carbonis do a full carbon plenum, carbon airbox and carbon lid cover for the standard airbox. So it would get rid of any heat soak issues that I may be suffering with the K&N kit. It would give one hell of an intake noise, a lot like my E46 M3. It would look fantastic, but £3,000 for very little power gain. They say their gains there on a standard car are about 10 horsepower, but pound for power, that's a lot of money. So we'll have a see, we'll have a think, but I think personally I'm pretty much where I want to be with the car. The next big exciting thing for the E92 M3 is going to be a Euro trip. I did it last time in the E46 M3, and I thought, you know what, this car sounds fantastic. It's a much better cruiser for getting out there. The DCT box going through the hairpins and the tunnels, and the V8 is just going to sound. So I've made the decision that providing the lockdown allows, we're going to go out in August, take the car, take all the camera equipment, toying with getting a drone as well, so we can get some really good aerial shots, because the video footage on the E46 one was great, but it really didn't just show how fantastic that trip was. And obviously if we do it again, I'll be even more equipped, more camera wise, better at the editing. So looking forward, I say, to get it out in the Alps and just absolutely tear it around some of those switchbacks and through those passes, because that's where these cars come alive, just being at the top of that RPM. So really looking forward to that. And like I said, it should, fingers crossed, if all goes to plan, be in August. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. As I say, it was honest. I've not sugarcoated it. I'm just giving you a real understanding of what happened and obviously the rolling results afterwards. Again, I'm really happy with it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you give us a like and a subscribe if you did, and if you want to see plenty more E92 action.